Good morning, everyone. I hope all of you can hear me. If you can hear me loud and clear, can I request you to just show me a thumbs up, please? All right. Okay. Good. Good to see nice smiling faces on a yet another wet day in Mumbai. Let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Ankit Bansal, and I'm the founder and CEO of Sapphire Human Solutions. I founded Sapphire way back in 2008 when founders were not as celebrated as they are today, and startup was not as attractive a word as it is possibly today. It's been a great journey over the last 12 years. By God's grace, we've now completed more than 900 CXOs that we've placed with more than 180 clients. I'm extremely happy, to have with us, somebody who represents a company which has been a completely breakthrough company in the edtech space. So when we talk of the best edtech companies in the world, Coursera, Blackboard, Teachers Pay Teachers, Chegg names comes right at the top. It's a company which was founded by 3 people in 2005, so not too far away. And IPO'd in 2013, and if I'm not mistaken, Vijay is today a $10 billion company. All that, ladies and gentlemen, in a matter of 15 years. And to talk about that and its journey, we have the managing director of Chegg in India. I'm extremely pleased to have Vijay TS. Vijay, is the one who's been responsible for Chegg's multifold growth in the Indian market. It's now a great place to work certified. It's rated as one of the top 75 workplaces in the entire ITS space. It's really the backbone of what Chegg does globally. I've known Vijay for quite some time. Before joining Chegg, he's held multiple variety leadership roles in DuPont, in BirlaSoft, in Hyundai. Vijay comes from the prestigious ISB Hyderabad. We are all on mute, so can we just have a show of hands for Vijay, please? Thank you so much, Vijay, for taking time out. Spending this session with us. Really appreciate.
Thanks, Ankit. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Vijay.
Thank you so much, and it's always a pleasure to interact with entrepreneurs. And thank you for the opportunity. And I've never been an entrepreneur myself, but I've been an entrepreneur in bunch of my roles that I've been.
Right.
Quick snapshot, if I should say, about to start with, just to have put a little bit of context to all the bright entrepreneurs here and the enterprising entrepreneurs. I should totally admit, Ankit, including you and all of you. It takes huge courage and grit to actually become an entrepreneur, make a difference to the society, take a fund, take chances with the ideas that you guys have. So I have immense appreciation for all that the entrepreneurs do. Okay, so happy to be helpful, happy to share whatever could be helpful for any one of you in any way.
Thank you, Vijay. So if I can request everybody to do two things. One is, if you can, just put on your videos, so that we can all see each other. And second, I'm going to call out the entrepreneur, and if you can tell briefly about, you, and more importantly about your startup, right? I'm going to start with, somebody whose face is very smiling face. This is Jatin Solanki from Expectrons.
Hey, thanks Ankit for the warm kind of introduction, and thanks Vijay for being present here for this. So I'm Jatin Solanki. I am an alumni of IIT Bombay with 10 years of experience in education technology. Before this, I co-founded a company called EduSfun Step App, which was in gamification of learning. We served over 2 million students there, worked with top private schools, public schools. And so I've worked with, I've built a company in the gamification of learning in K-12 space before this.
Thank you everyone for giving us the opportunity to present here. So we are having a Jaipur-based edtech startup named Airdesk. We are mainly providing hybrid one-on-one learning facilities. We are more focused on the personalization of learning facilities, provide online as well as offline services for the academic classes as well as the skill development courses.
Glad to be here. I am Prateek Agarwal. I am an ISB alum. I co-founded something called School of Accelerated Learning. We are a tech product school who is basically looking at skilling the youth of India today for the talent that the industry, specifically the tech industry, requires. And we are having a hybrid model over there.
Yeah, very good morning, and it's my pleasure to be here. I could see here the faces of all the entrepreneurs here, but I'm an employee of a GRT group which holds around 13 to 40,000 of employees. And I joined in this group almost 15 years before, and I take care of that particular time. It was around 250 employees in this group, and now it has grown to the level of 13,000 employees.
Hi guys, thanks Ankit. So I essentially run a CAT coaching company. It's for MBA entrance exams like the CAT, SAT, the IIMs. We have been doing this since 2013, and we had close to 5,000 paid students last year. It's a completely online-based model where we have videos as well as live classes on the weekend. So that's the broad framework that we deal with.
Right, it's called Goovi. We help people to learn technology courses in vernacular languages. So like Python, machine learning, data structures, algorithms, they can learn in Tamil, Telugu, Hindi, Kannada, Bengali. And we make them practice in the platform and get connected to the right jobs. Close to 4.5 lakh users have been using the platform. And close to 250 plus product companies are hiring through the platform.
Hi guys, my name is Mayuresh. I'm the co-founder at Grey Atom. Just 10 seconds about myself. I'm an IIT Madras alum. Bala is a good friend. I think a lot of friends over here. And this is my second startup. The first one being something called as Customer 360. We built it out over 3 years. It was a product company. We got acquired by a company, Nasdaq listed company in Indianapolis. 3.5 years we have been doing this thing called as Grey Atom. We are a product company. We are into upskilling adults into technology. Essentially, we want to kind of change the way people learn technology.
Hi, good morning, friends. Here. I'm an educationist by profession for last decade and a half. And 3 years back, I founded this company, Yanko Executive Education. And I am an aggregation company and I have exclusive rights for some top Ivy League brands in the world. So I represent the Harvard Business School operations in India for the online businesses. Then I have IESC Barcelona, which is an executive education ranked #1, FT ranked #1 school in India. And then I also manage admissions, enrollments, counselings for brands like NMIMS University, Wellington Institute of Management, Columbia, Stanford. So we are an aggregation and fulfillment company for the big brands.
Hello everyone. Thanks Ankit. So my name is Arun. I am the founder of Crackable. So we are into GMAT coaching and MBA admissions. So I started off as a teacher. So I've been teaching for about 20 years. So I know Ravi. So that's good to see familiar faces. So we've been teachers. So I started full-time in 2011. So it's been about a 9-year journey. We had 3 classrooms in Bangalore and we shut them all, one day in March when the whole pandemic came. So till that point, we were, between classroom and online, but now we have gone 100% online.
All right. So Vijay, a company started by 3 guys, started with textbook rentals, moving on to multitude of services for students, raking in, if I'm not mistaken, 4 million users as we speak, for more than 4 million users. I think I have 2019 numbers. Listing at $1.1 billion in 2013, and today being valued in excess of $10 billion. Take us through this extraordinary journey of this extraordinary company so that, we can make our notes and take notes of how we can also, learn and, implement the things in our journeys and our startups. Over to you, Vijay.
Sure. Thanks, Ankit. To start with, I should give you a little background about me. Like I told you, I've not been a traditional entrepreneur like you. A bunch of you have been serial entrepreneurs. So I have. I started, but I've worked in multiple countries, multiple industries, and in multiple streams. So I'm a Tamilian, born in South India, but brought up in Delhi. Studied in Delhi and Hyderabad, and then lived in the US, lived in Hyderabad of course, and then worked in a few more countries like Australia, Singapore, Malaysia, China for various stints. Okay, so that's been my journey. Quick. I worked in I started my career in the automobile industry. I was one of the first few employees for Hyundai Motors in India to be setting up the business in India. So that's why I called myself an entrepreneur, where you actually are trying to set up a company literally when you are actually an employee, right? And subsequently worked for Birlasoft, which is a software development company. We tried to reinvent the company, restructure its rise during my tenure of around 8 years there, which is a software development company. Then I worked for DuPont. It's a chemical giant. It's a chemical company. A bunch of you would have studied the DuPont formulas in your school. It's a 200-year-old company, very different. Then I've been working with Chegg. I've joined Chegg around 4 years back, which is an ed tech company. So all different industries. Then I joined Chegg. Chegg was around $660 million, valued at around $660 million. And we were trying to look at the next wave in terms of what do we do, where do we do, and how do we scale it further, and stuff like that. And and what you see today is what Ankit definitely mentioned yesterday. We are valued at around $10 billion. That's correct, and it's public valuation, so it's all open, out in the open. So you all could probably know more if you try to search more probably than what I could say in the 10, 15, or 30 minutes, or 50 minutes, or even a couple of hours for that matter, right? And I can share a few slides just to put some context onto it. Just let me do that. So when I started especially, and the company has been one of the things that I should totally admit about the company, that what we have tried to do since the beginning is to create a mission which is compelling enough for our customers, that is the students, to realize, and also our employees to rejoice on. So that is something which I generally feel that we did a great job of. And when we did a great job of, and one of the things that appealed a lot for me also when the Chegg leadership actually spoke to me, and that time, think about it, right? You're coming from $100 billion company and a 200-year-old company. All of a sudden, you see a company closer to being a startup at the same time, trying to make it big, is less than a $1 billion valuation vis-a-vis where you come from. So it is a very different setup. So one of the things that appealed to me a lot is education. We all have been educated. We all are coming from educated backgrounds, and all of us realize the value of education a lot. So and one of the things that Chegg did a great job of is to say that to the student that I'll watch your back. And in everything that we did, whether it's a commercial or our marketing positioning, or our brand positioning, or our operations positioning, vis-a-vis a student who would reach out to us saying that, listen, I'm in dire straits, I can't pay your $10. So we would figure out a way to help that student to an employee all across, saying that whatever we do, we put a student first. So we wanted to be put in a mission saying that we'll put students first in whatever we do. And we said that we'll create businesses which will actually improve the overall return on investment in education by helping the students learn more in lesser time at a lower cost. Okay. So that's what we did. Which definitely helped us help the company quite a bit. Stages of the company, you all have been, you're all, bunch of you who run startups. What we did was, this was started in 2005, like Ankit mentioned, there were 3 people, but 2 people were the ones who were leading the most. So we still call it as 2 Iowa State University students launching Chegg. And that time Chegg came up with the chicken neck story, saying that, if I don't have money, I can't buy a textbook. At the same time, if I don't study and if I don't clear, where will I make money? So that was the quandary that they were in, and they set it up. Around 2010, the investors bought it over and got in Dan, who was the ex-CEO of Yahoo, as the CEO of the company, to actually charter a new journey for the company, making company a digital company. So when we say company a digital company, at that point in time, we ran a textbook rental business where we set up warehouses all across the country in the United States. And a bunch of work would also involve logistics, owning textbooks, etc., right? So we would have warehouses. We would ensure that the student gets it at a lower cost, at a cheaper cost than what he or she would have had to buy and study. That is what. So from then on, we went on to make a fully digital company by actually launching a few products, like an e-reader launch that we did in 2012, which actually got into the ebook side of it. 2013, we went public. Our story has been, in 2014, what we decided to do was we signed up with Ingram, saying that within the next 2 or 3 years, we'll transition the entire logistics part to Ingram, saying that you become a logistics partner and we'll move to a commission model. Go ahead.
Vijay, somebody might want to log in. Since you are the host, you will have to just admit that individual.
All right. Sure. If I get opening,
I think someone got logged out.
Okay, sure.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So 2014 is what we started the journey around. 2016, 2017 is what we ended becoming a fully digital company in 2017. So if you look at we are a public company, so you have access to Yahoo Finance and all our financial stuff. If you look at our stock, you would see that, we went public at $12.50 for a stock. And what happened? Amazon launched its product, and our stock went down from $12.50 to $3, sub $3, $1.50, stuff like that. From there on, we rebuilt. We just stood by what we believed in and what we did. And after 2017 is what you will see a huge spike in our stock prices, which should show up very clearly for each one of you. When you see what did we do? So we've been acquiring a company each year almost since 2014. We acquired a bunch of companies, created a framework internally to for a culture fit that we would assume, or a product fit that we would assume, and then absorb it internally and try to build a host of products which would actually need to our student market. One of the things that we also adhered to and stayed committed to was we said that we are committed to the higher education or a college student who's an adult. So if you look at our branding, if you look at our positioning, if you look at everything, you'll find that consistent. So you'll find everything that we try to do is to revolve around the college student. While in the Indian market, you look at, there's a huge emphasis on K-12. That's one area that we've not ventured deeply into yet. Okay, but yes, a bunch of our products are used by high school students. They do use it, and we're seeing quite a bit of traction. Even our test prep business, a bunch of, we have SAT, ACT, a bunch of students who are in the high school side of it do go there, but our focus has stayed in the higher ed so far. This is a quick snapshot of how we built the company over. All these products that you see have been built in the last few years, where we actually try to say that we'll get into the college through the Chegg writing tools and Chegg Math Solver. It's an AI product, and get into the test prep. You get a student use the test prep product, then a college search a scholarship, go on to the textbook solutions while the student is in college, studying, get better grades, subsequently get live tutoring. Internships.com is owned by us, so if they want internships, they could come to us. Thinkful is an online bootcamp company that we bought just late last year, and typically helping a student get a job. That's been our journey. That's what we've tried to do. This slide actually talks about a little bit of snapshot of each of our products for you guys, for each one of you to understand that how did we go about doing what we did in terms of creating what it is. Okay. What do we achieve today? I mean, if we look at it, we've had 80% of our students recommend Chegg, which is a great number, right? I mean, if our customers, 80% of our customers are recommending us, most of our growth has been through that. I mean, our recommendation rates are very high. We've had 45% year-on-year growth in subscribers, and that's where you see our annual subscribers around 4 million annual subscribers, and over 2 million textbook customers. So, I mean, we do touch, a bunch of students. We have around 15 million unique visitors in a month that we see. Students in around 7,600 odd campuses, college campuses use Chegg as a service. And when we look at a target population, 84% of them say that they've heard of our service, which definitely says that we've tried to make a difference to, we're trying to make a difference in their own lives. That is the college student. Our student demographics, if you look at it, 56% of our students are women, and 44% of them being men. Almost 50% of our students are between the age group of 18 to 24, and around 30% of them below that, which is the high school market, and 22% who are over 25-year-olds. So that's a typical snapshot of Chegg, that what we have done so far, and how we've been going through. Happy to help through it. I mean, happy to explain, answer any questions.
Yes. Can we have Arun going in first, please? Yes, Arun.
Yeah, thanks, Ankit. So great, Vijay. Wonderful to hear the story and the experience. The question is, as an entrepreneur, there is always this dilemma of sorts of whether we focus and pick one niche, or do we go more diversified, going after the entire students. So Chegg seems to have picked the latter. So I just wanted the thoughts on, how did you make the choice, or what were the thoughts over there?
Arun, very good question. Let me explain what we did in our organization. What we did to start with, we chose multiple this thing because we had the choice of having funds and incubating multiple business. But each of our businesses, we left each of our businesses to operate in the best possible manner that they could. So each of our business went deeper, frankly speaking. So if you look at our website, not now, maybe now we changed it probably a while back, you would see multiple of our business there. And each of our businesses were deep in terms of running everything by themselves, literally. So we gave them, we were focused on our branding overall. We said that, whatever we do, we need to put the student first. We need to make it affordable. Few basics is what we adhere to when we did whatever we did. We want to keep an affordable business to the student, and the student should feel that we are watching their back. So that's how we operated, and each of our businesses actually went deeper.
Right.
Okay, so to answer your thought, what do I feel about it? I think going deeper, having an expertise in each of the areas is very important in my opinion, and that's what has helped us also excel in each of have all of our business been successful. It's not necessarily true, but we've ensured that each of our businesses actually help accelerate our overall company's growth. That's how we try to operate on.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Arun.
Some of us, Bala, Himanshu, Ravi, any questions from your side?
Hey, that was my question. Actually, Mayuresh stole it. We've been exploring the ISA. We've been doing the bootcamp model, and when I saw the Thinkful acquisition of Chegg, right?
Yeah.
So I studied a lot. I went through that a lot about what is the differentiating factor what they do, and how it is applied over here. So we kept it on hold actually, but what Vijay mentioned actually makes sense really. We actually tried it. See the ISA part, so along for our Z class model, that is which we introduced last year. We have a very good traction where ISA was also one of the options, right? So, but what he mentioned correctly, the credit system or the authority to hold someone accountable for the part over the period of years, right, has not really evolved still. And the people who have actually adopted that actually has been bitten by that actually.
So even the employment agreements are not accountable. So I think income sharing is like, I think, so that's the issue kind of.
So Grey Atom has gone that route. I think Lambda is very glamorous from outside. We've kind of, gone through that route. We've kind of, signed up close to 400 odd students. We've processed them. And we have a story to tell, very honestly. So I have a perspective. I just wanted to, again, you have a very different kind of a view. I have a very different kind of a view. So just wanted to reconcile versions.
Yeah. So no, I think, so to be honest, I think I would rather rely on people like you who have actually implemented it. We've not implemented it, neither have I. So I'm not necessarily, that's my personal view that, I felt it was given what I see in the fintech market and all of those also, because there also the collections are a challenge, by the way. So you see the very fact that you see large banks having huge NPAs for big businesses. Think about it, all listed companies are actually defaulting and getting away from it. Think about a small student whose net worth, how do you determine and, how do you enforce? It can be vice versa too. I mean, maybe you create a model where you're able to actually catch up a small guy much better way than a big company also. In my opinion, that's a huge business that's possible too, provided it's all about operations and how you execute it and how do you get it done. And get to see that. I haven't evaluated. I've not seen it.
So you said that, this pandemic has accelerated, growth of Chegg and so give us how has Chegg, I mean, when this occurred, what did you guys do? I mean, did your strategy change? Did the pricing of products change? Did you said your philosophy is students first. So help us your response to the entire pandemic.
So Ankit, and again, a very good question. So what did we do? Actually, frankly speaking, we just think that we were prepared for it much before. We just didn't do, we did not have to change much. We did not. All that we changed was we moved our whole office internationally, globally, we moved everybody home. So think about it. We were all nervous saying that, what's going to work, what's going to break on one end, because, we say that we want to help the student, we want to do all those things. But, we were worried. One of the things that gave us strength was our balance sheet. We had almost $1 billion in cash. We said, if nothing else, we'll survive. Okay. So that is something which gave us the confidence and actually helped us continue doing what we did better. So since we were in an online mode and we had scaled up multifold, we had our experts. See, I mean, I don't know how many of you know, in India itself, we employ thousands of experts. I mean, over 80,000 to 90,000 experts today, almost 1 lakh experts today who work for us as freelancers. Okay. Now think, I mean, it's a demand and supply story. All of a sudden the students went home and they were studying. Of course, they couldn't get the support that they could get ideally while they were at school or in college. So they started asking questions to us and they started subscribing services even more. And when they started asking questions and they could, and we could help them with more answers at a bigger scale because there were more experts home too. So it was a natural propensity to our model itself, just helped us that the model that we had invested much before.
Cool.
So it is like we were trying to be ready for the future much before. That's what happened, to be honest. And it helped us expand in multiple countries. So that's what we did. And it's not that also a bunch of it happened, through our word of mouth. I mean, internet became the world that everybody was getting into, and that doesn't have countries, right?
Fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for your time. It's been truly wonderful. Have a great day and then following a great weekend. Thank you. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Nice to meet you.